You know what, guys? I thought this was going to be a really good video, but as I'm preparing to tell you guys the story that's in this video, my anxiety is through the roof. I'm like reliving the experience of this tragic story that happened. First of all, welcome back to FasciNATIVE English. Thank you for being here with me today. And thank you for calming me by watching me, calming me down while I tell you this story. I have a phrase for you all today, and I'm pretty sure you know the phrase. Freak out, right? When you freak out, you're freaking out. You know the phrase, but like, maybe you don't know exactly how to use it, or you don't know the context of how to use it, and that's okay. That's what I'm here for. So, as always, my voice cracked. So as always, I'm going to help you along your English language journey by just explaining to you the way that I use it. I do that by telling you a story, a scenario, if you will, something that actually happened to me in my real life, because if you haven't noticed by now, my life is crazy and I have so many stories. Like there's things that like literally would only happen to me, and it would only happen to me, and it does. And I tell you about it on YouTube. Let me tell you about this time I freaked out. And this was literally like 2 weeks ago, not even 2 weeks ago. It was a week ago yesterday.
About a week ago.
It was like 8 days ago. At the time of this recording, it was 8 days ago. By the time this post is probably a couple weeks ago, but still, beside the fact, I was freaking out. And you want to know why I was freaking out? I missed my flight for the first time ever in my life. And you might be like, Carly, that's not a real reason to freak out. It is if you're me. If you're me, that's a reason to freak out. All right. So let me give you a little bit of backstory. I went to a conference for YouTube, for you guys. Like I went to a content creator conference in Las Vegas a couple weeks ago. It was Grow with Video Live. It was the team, Think Media team put it on. It was amazing. I learned so much. I'm so excited to show you guys everything that I've learned. And like, there are some big changes coming to FasciNATIVE English. I'm not even gonna lie. Beside the point, I booked my flight super in advance because I was excited about this, and I was like, dude, I need to make sure, one, I have my flight all figured out. I have my hotel all figured out. I had the funds to, fund the whole trip. Las Vegas. I love you. Love Las Vegas. It ain't cheap. Food, Uber, everything there, even a bottle of water, super expensive. So like I was planning ahead. I had like 6 months to plan this, and I booked my flight like maybe 2 months before my actual flight, or at least like 6 weeks beforehand. Everything was good. Everything was Gucci. That's another slang that we use. But I've heard from the kids these days that nobody uses it anymore. But you know what? I'm going to keep it alive. Everything was Gucci, which just means everything was A-okay. Everything was good. I get on my flight and I booked Delta because I'm like, I want to be comfortable, because it's cross country. I live on the East Coast, Nevada, Las Vegas is on the West Coast. I want to be comfortable. So I book a nice Delta flight and I go, and everything's fine. I enjoy my conference. I'm like living my best life, learning so much. Like it's amazing. And my flight says that it is for Saturday, April 27th at 12 something, around midnight. And I'm like, so like 12 something a.m. All right, I'm good. I'm Gucci. Like I got this. So since my flight was Saturday, April 27th around midnight, I was like, you know what? Friday night, I'm gonna go out. Now, if you are the smart person right now watching this, you're like, Carly, that's a bad idea. The only place you should be going is the airport. Where are you going? Where are you going out? You should be going to the airport. Yeah, I should have, but I didn't, because I looked at my flight and I was like, oh, Saturday, April 27th. So I thought it was Saturday night at midnight, which it wasn't. It was indeed Friday night at midnight. So that's how I missed my flight, and that's why I began to freak out. But before I realized that, I hadn't had a chance to really go through my emails, because again, I was at this conference. The conference was literally like 8 a.m. to 5, and it was like a long day, and I didn't have the energy to go through all my emails. I was trying to, but I couldn't really get through all of them. And then again, there's like a slight time difference, like 3 hours. So I was like slightly jet lagged, not really. But then I took a red-eye flight, which means overnight flight, to come to Vegas. That just threw off my sleep schedule even more. It was a hot mess the first couple of days, but it was like fun. So it was like a fun hot mess. Regardless of all that, I didn't get the chance to, oh my God, I'm stuttering. I didn't get the chance to check my emails. Friday night, I have an Apple Watch, which I'm not wearing right now. It's charging, but I have an Apple Watch. And Friday night, I'm going out and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go out in Vegas. I'm going to, everything's been work so far. So I'm going to just like paint the town red, which is like an expression we use, which just means I'm going to go out and see what I can see. Maybe gallivant around. See what I did there? If you want to know what gallivant means, you can look here. But yeah, I was like, I'm just gonna go have fun. You know, my last night, I'm gonna see what I can see, maybe see a show, maybe do this, maybe do that, get some really good food. And I get a little alert on my watch that says, you know, the traffic to LAS with the airport is yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. Why did it tell me that? My flight's not till tomorrow. I ignore. Carley, you're stupid.
You stupid.
Why you do that? I don't know. I don't know why I did that either. I was like, looking back on it now, dumb, all right? Clown. Why? Regardless, I was like, oh, that's tomorrow. Let me go out. I went out, had some good food, had a good time, explored around. I went to probably every hotel, just walked up and down, sightseeing, people watching Gallivant. Like literally, this would have been a good video to explain Gallivant, but you know what? I digress. I go back to my hotel, I sleep. The next morning, I'm like, let me go ahead and check in for my flights tonight. So I open my phone, I go to my email, and I go to check in, and it says, your seat is no longer available.
Excuse me, what?
Because I paid extra. You know, I paid extra to get a good flight on Delta. So I was like, my seat is no longer available. What are you talking about? And it says, and I go and I investigate more, and it says that my flight is past. And I was like, I'm being punked. Where's Ashton Kutcher? I'm being punked because if you guys don't know anything about me, I obsess over being on time, for one, being a bargain hunter and like getting good deals. I never try to waste any money on stupid things. And in addition to that, I have been traveling the majority of my life and I have never ever missed a flight or never found myself in this kind of situation. So I was like, this is not me. And plus I checked the flight departure time 20 times before. And I never realized that my flight was indeed leaving Friday night at midnight, which Friday night at midnight is actually Saturday, April 27th. Yeah. This is where you cry with me because I made that realization and I hop out of bed and I'm like, I missed my flight. So I call my husband. I was like, I missed my flight. He was like, your flight's not till tonight. I was like, you would think that, but it's not. My flight is actually right now. Actually, no, my flight was actually 6 hours ago in the middle of the night when I was sleeping like a baby. I was supposed to be on the flight. And he was like, oh, Carley. And I was like, yeah. And I tell him, he was like, you should have showed me because that just makes sense. Yeah, Saturday, April 27th at midnight, that's definitely going to be Friday night. And I was like, can we just move past this? I already know that I'm dumb. I already know that I misread it. I already know that I don't know my AM from my PM. I need to go back to elementary school. Like, let me just, forget about that. All right. You guys, this is why I know God made me to be an English teacher, because if it has any kind of numbers, I'm not going to know. I don't know. I can't do math. And this isn't even math. This is literally just a timestamp. And I still couldn't read it. A date and a time, numbers. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Saturday night. Ugh! I'm still frustrated about the whole thing, but I was freaking out. One, because I never missed a flight in my life. So I was like, oh gosh, like, this is something new for me. Two, I still had to leave that day. So I had to get back to my family. I had to come back. So I had to try to book another flight. So I called Delta. Delta has me on the phone for a whole hour waiting for somebody. And while I'm on the phone for a whole hour waiting for somebody, I'm also on my chat on the phone trying to contact somebody too. And I'm like, is there anything at all? Yes, I know I'm dumb. Let's move past that. I know it's my mistake, but is there anything at all that you can do for me? And basically they were like,
nope.
We could recommend you go back to elementary school and learn your AM from your PM, but that's all we could do for you. And I was like,
What did he say?
thank you so much. Have a great day. Goodbye. And so I had to immediately go and search for a new flight. Now, the Delta flight that I bought round trip was around $400. All right. The Delta flight coming back one way was $600.
Oh, no.
And I was like, absolutely not. Because total, that would be over $1,000 and I could literally go out of the country. So I was like, no, I'm not doing that. So I had to fly Spirit Airlines. Yes, I live to tell the tale. I'm here, I'm alive. I had to fly Spirit Airlines back. Honestly, it wasn't so bad. It gets a lot of bad rep, and I've had some Spirit Airlines flights before that made me realize I'm never flying this airline again. But this one wasn't bad. And thank God, because I had a rough day. But anyways, flew Spirit Airlines back, but my ticket was still $300.
Nice.
$300 just so you know, if you're watching this and you're like, that doesn't seem like it's that bad, that's not for like Delta. For Spirit Airlines, that's very expensive. Spirit Airlines is usually like $100 like everywhere in the country. You know, it's like the most affordable airline you can fly. So I had to book that. I had to fly it back. Again, it was like my time was like 11:54 though. So I was like, ha! I know it's Saturday night, 11:54 p.m. I know that it's not going to be the next day. I know this now. That's ingrained in my mind. But the whole process had me freaking out. My heart rate was like through the roof. I actually got a notification on my watch saying that like my heart rate was high and asked me if I was working out or something. And I'm like, no, I'm not working out. I'm freaking out. Like I just had to waste $300 on another ticket and I lost this one ticket and you know, they couldn't do anything for me. And then I had to pay an extra fee because Delta, my carry-on was free, but on Spirit, it wasn't. So I had to pay that. And then because I knew like it was gonna be like kind of a full flight, I wanted to make sure I got a window seat because I was so tired from everything that had gone on. So I paid extra for that and I was like, this is just crazy. Like I was seriously freaking out. And I'm like, you know what? I stopped and I'm like, Carly, no sense in you freaking out anymore. So usually when stuff like this happens, I never have the realization that I shouldn't have freaked out in the moment. I usually have it like 2 or 3 days later where I'm like, why did I freak out about that? Like, why did I worry? Why did that cause me so much pain and anxiety? But this was the time where I literally was like in the moment and I was like, Carly, there's nothing you can do. You can't reverse time. You made a $300 mistake, yeah, but you move on. You move forward. And you know what? Look at it this way. Like, at least it was just you. Had I have been on vacation with like my whole family and we all missed our flights, that would have been super expensive. That would have been a crazy expensive mistake. Yeah, I would have freaked out even more. So I was like, look on the bright side, it's just you. You only have this $300. Yes, $300 seems like a lot, but it could have been way worse had I been on a trip with my whole family. Then I'm like, also, I get this whole day to chill, or I get this whole day to obsess over the fact that I lost my flight. I'm not gonna ruin my last day in Vegas freaking out over the fact that I lost my ticket and I missed my flight and I had to pay more. So I had to make that decision like in the moment to just like, past is the past, don't worry about it anymore, keep moving forward and try to have a good time. And I did have a decent last day. I was very tired but because I walked around literally everywhere all day until my flight at around midnight, 11 something that night. Still, it was a good time. I think now I will never make that mistake ever again. That was a lesson. I think, you know, I've taken so many flights and I'm trying to look on the bright side and be like, what did I learn? Did I learn my lesson from this? And yes, I did, Lord. If you're listening, I learned my lesson. I will never make that mistake again. I will always double, triple, quadruple check.
You better double check that, my friend. Discount double check
the dates and the times and everything, and I will have another person go behind me and double check it too, so I'm always at the airport on time and I don't have to freak out for no reason. So if you guys have made it here in this point of the video, I bet you're wondering what freak out means. You probably already have an understanding because like I said, this is very common. This is a very common phrase, so you probably know what it means. But just in case, this phrase just means to become extremely anxious, panicked, or upset about something. It often implies a loss of control over one's emotions due to fear, stress, or excitement. Realize the first part of the definition said anxious, panicked, upset. But then at the end, it was like fear, stress, excitement. So you can freak out basically with every emotion. Like if you're angry, if you're upset.
Girl like this. Shut up! You shut up!
You can freak out. Like, oh, I'm freaking out because I'm angry. If you're afraid, oh, I'm freaking out because I'm scared. If you have anxiety, like I did about missing the flight, oh, you're freaking out because you have anxiety.
Wait a minute, Tony. Sorry.
My diagnosis is that you've experienced a severe anxiety attack.
But excitement too. Like I remember the first time I went to like a concert by myself. You guys know Zac Efron? He was in High School Musical. So yeah, I had the biggest crush ever on him when I was growing up. And I went to a Jonas Brothers concert, which also love Jonas Brothers. Anyways, and he was just like there as well. Zac Efron was like a special guest. He wasn't singing, he wasn't doing anything. He was just there signing autographs. I got an autograph from him, and I waited in a long line in the Georgia sun because it was at Wild Adventures, the theme park. I waited in a long line for like 2 hours to get this autograph, and I freaked out. I don't think I've ever freaked out as much ever in my life as I did that day when I met Zac Efron and got his little, signature. And he asked me how to spell my name, and I was like, my name's Carley, and he was like, is it Carly? And I said, it's E-Y! And I couldn't even I literally did like that, and he looked at me, and I was like holding in I probably looked like I had to use the restroom, but honestly I was just like holding it on the excited, like, oh my god, I was so excited. So yeah, and then as soon as I stepped down from the little where he was signing and I had my little autograph and I stepped down, I screamed. My friend and I screamed for like a good 10 minutes straight, and yeah, that was freaking out. That's categorized as freaking out as well, because we were so excited, we were so happy, we were overjoyed that we just met Zac Efron, aka Troy Bolton. All right, and like he shook my hand and he wrote my name, you guys. Like I was freaking out. I stepped down and I'm almost 32 years old and I got goosebumps right now thinking about it, because that's literally one of the best days of my life. I love my kids, and obviously their birth was amazing, but like meeting Zac Efron and shaking his hand, one of the best days of my life. To this day, I freaked out. But anyways, the history though. Let's cue that music.
History with Carly.
The history of this phrase, the exact origin, is unclear, but it is said to have likely emerged in American English slang during the mid-20th century. The word freak has been used since the 19th century, and that's been used to describe someone or something unconventional or strange. When you call somebody a freak, not nice, but that's what people do, and it's literally been used that way all throughout history. And then you have the word out, which in this context suggests a state of being beyond normal or expected behavior. So you have freak, which is something kind of strange, kind of unconventional, and then you have out, which suggests the state of being normal or expected behavior. So freak and then out, and you're like, Carly, that doesn't really make sense to you. There's something strange. How can it be normal? Okay. But they put those together and they say this is going to be the phrase that we say when we have an intense emotional reaction to something, whether that be panic, anxiety, excitement, anything, all the above. You're upset about something. We're just going to use that word freak out, that phrase. We're going to put these two words together, freak out. Boom, that's the phrase that we're going to use now. It just became more and more popular and more widespread in the later half of the 20th century. It's super common amongst the youth, especially my time, millennials, maybe even the generation before me, and even still the generation after me. You have a good 3 or 4 decades of people that we just we use this word, and I will use this word until the day I die. I don't care if it's not cool anymore. People were saying Gucci, the word Gucci isn't cool. I don't care. I'm going to use it. But freak out. I don't care what you say. I will use this phrase for the rest of my life. Because it just sums up so much. I deal with a lot of anxiety, and I have 2 boys. So there you go. Oh, that's enough said. I have 2 kids. They're both boys. I'm going to use this phrase freak out for the rest of my life. So yeah, so the history of it, kind of unclear. It's popular in America, and it came about maybe the 19th, 20th century, where we started using it to, describe our emotions, our intense emotions. But of course, like always, I have 3 example sentences for you all. So example number 1, I was freaking out when I realized I had lost my phone. The panic, where you're I was freaking out when I realized I lost my phone. Example number 2, she started freaking out when she heard about the deadline extension. She started freaking out when she heard about the deadline extension. Freaking out. And example number 3, don't freak out, but I accidentally spilled coffee on your laptop. Ooh. This actually happened to me in 2020 when the world was, ending with COVID. My son spilled coffee on my laptop. He was an actual infant at that time, learning to stand up, and he spilled coffee on my laptop. So I feel the pain, and I did freak out, but you know what? I had to buy a new one, and all is well. But Don't freak out, but I accidentally spilled coffee on your laptop. Those are the 3 examples I have for you today. The rather long story about a phrase that you probably already knew what it meant, but now you have a better understanding, and maybe you didn't know that you can use it for multiple different feelings. You don't have to use freak out only when you're scared or you have anxiety or something. You can use freak out many different ways, many different scenarios. And now you know that I met Zac Efron, so it's a good video after all. If you like this video, like always, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you all in the next video.